Okay, and we're back. Again, for anyone who is here because of Posh, this is meant to be a setup. Okay, and we're
Stream.
back.
Righto.
Again, for anyone who is here because of Posh, this
I
is
have
meant to be a
been
setup.
unmuted on
Okay, and we're
stream,
back.
Mute.
Okay. Don't you love loops? Would the two of you like to talk more about the overall idea for what will be happening, or do you want to just play a game and we'll just kind of end up in a natural place that is happy?
Um, I think just a brief explanation for what the game is for anyone that comes in and they're not quite sure what's going on.
Well, yes, that is something that I'll go over. Because I've got like 12 games that I
Hell
play across, and I also know of many more.
Oh, wonderful.
And they all do slightly different things, which is why I'm really interested to use them to build the same place. And I've got one here. And the other thing I wanted to be very vocal about where I'm getting these from, because these are all independent
Game collections, because I love collecting.
So yeah, I will be posting links to where you can buy these games as well, because they're all independent small groups that make really interesting things. And I love helping the little guys to do their thing. And for anyone joining in again because of Posh, my name is Richard. I'm Kettle and Clock, and we are making a tabletop role-playing game together live on air. The mechanics are more or less complete, and they'll be available through a link that will be available on the Twitch channel and all of that. I should also start recording if we're ever going to be publishing this as a podcast. Yes.
So the VODs should be available, even if we want to record now. It's
yeah. No, I'll record it through Streamlabs.
Gotcha.
And that way also I can do whatever I need to do, and I can upload it to YouTube and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, that's right. So Kia, am I too loud now? Or am I fine now? Want to make sure we get this right. If not,
I'd rather we all be a little bit too loud, and then everyone can turn us down on their end if necessary.
True.
In Streamlabs, when you speak, it's coming up to the yellow, and when I speak, it's coming up to the base of the yellow. So
Gotcha.
You should, in theory, you're a bit louder than I am.
Oh yeah, I will. Yeah, I'm a loud person.
Also, while we've got your moderator on, is my audio adequate? I was looking at buying a microphone the other day, but I've got a headset that is probably fine.
I could always mute myself and listen as well.
Yeah, when I started the stream, I didn't have the Twitch channel muted, and so I got the feedback, and it was so much fun.
Okay, it's not painful now. There isn't a balance between the voice though.
Okay.
So where I'm where I would be loud and you're quieter.
Okay. Well, I can see that visibly on my thing, so I'm going to boost me here, and I should be able to figure out. Okay. I can turn that down a bit. I'll turn this down a bit. And now, can you speak, please, Nathan?
Hello, everybody. How we doing?
And could you please speak, Zoha?
Zohan, it's Zoha Kayana. Nice to meet you. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Oh, they're speaking. Wonderful.
Posh, I think you're going to have to give us a link so that we can join your Discord channel.
Ooh, mine.
Yeah. Well, at least me. I'm interested in being a part of your community, even if I never actually watch you.
Yeah. I'll give you the link. um.
I don't mind joining another Discord that I would never look at.
That is extremely hurtful because I definitely am
Oh, sorry.
not like that. I
I'm
definitely don't have far too many Discord servers that I'd never look at because I press clear this server and claim as read, and so obviously I do look at them because I don't allow.
so
Yeah,
many Discord servers that I just lurk in and every week or so open everything, try and catch up, and then go, that's enough, and then
yeah,
leave.
that'll do.
That'll
That'll do.
that'll do.
It's reached the point where I've had to make folders just so that I'm not constantly scrolling down between different Discord channels.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
definitely have
that,
a folder of stuff that I absolutely never check, but I don't want to leave.
I have a folder of you know the Discords you go to for advice when you are not smart enough to do the thing that you need to do, and I only open it to ask questions and check to see if my question has been answered specifically.
Yeah,
I've just got a bunch of my streamer buddies Discords, and I've made one, and most of my closer streamer buddies are all like, "Well, this is my, it's the banana cult. We're all here now." I'm like, "That's fine. Promote yourself as you like. Go nuts."
I will
Like
say.
even Kia here is a streamer as well. They're wonderful.
I will say, if this does go well, I'm very tempted to start streaming because I do play Final Fantasy 14. I know that is a thing that is streamed.
Fun.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I do not have permission. Do I need to get a roll?
Yeah. That's you just gotta check
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I understand how things work. I just assumed that I would be
Just straight in.
just absolutely. Okay, I'm in. General chat.
Oh,
Just
there's a little art section.
Oh, don't tell me there's an art section. Oh, there's a
yeah,
whole
we've got
section.
artists in here. Yeah, an entire
Oh,
thing
it's
would
not
just be
just
art
a
for.
channel. It's a whole
That's
section.
lovely.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
wish I painted. I'd put something in here, but I
We're,
only do pens and markers.
yeah, we've also we've got D&D Lounge, which is another thing, gamers lounge for people that want to try and organize playing games together. Got Potion Friends updates where I've chucked down that we're streaming live for this one. All sorts of things. Then there's private rooms where I've got my own little projects going on. I'm a
There you go.
I'm a busy person.
You really are a busy person. This is terrible. I thought you were just a friend that I played D&D with.
Yeah, no, I'm not just a friend you play D&D with. I'm very busy. And this is
Okay.
one of many channels that I'm on. Yeah, and Kia here in the chat's involved with a lot of those.
Okay. So that looks good. Is that centered? Posh. I'm gonna get used to calling you Posh.
Nice.
I'm
D&D.
fiddling with Streamlabs, and I've got display capture with a box. Is there any way to confirm that it's centered?
Confirm that it's centered.
Or do I just have to like place it where I reckon it'll work?
So I'm looking at what you've got here. You pretty much just got what feels nice, but I'm pretty sure when it's centered, will be
And actually, I think
it should have a lock to center type of thing.
I think it might be better if we end up doing this. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because it was not getting the entire thing.
One of my students who I introduced to D&D has very adorably sent me a message asking if I will help him set up an official D&D club at school from tomorrow.
Ooh,
That's wonderful.
I love
I
that.
Okay, this is not working the way that I wanted it to.
That is adorable. He is panicking because I have just told him that he will have to be the DM if he's going to be the founder of the club.
Yeah, you can't quite start a club and be like, yeah, no, now we need someone to run the games for us.
Yeah, I think he was hoping I'd run the games, and I said, "No, sweetheart, it's your club. You're going to be the DM."
Oh yeah, they can take turns DMing. Yeah, that's true.
That's actually what I was thinking because I had actually introduced the game to a group of 4, and 2 of the boys got very into the idea, and
Oh, you clipping out there, Zoha?
create the club together. So I
And you're
suggested
back.
that
Nope.
On again. Oh no.
Oh no.
You good there, Zoha?
yep,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, sorry, your audio is coming and going, so we may miss some things that you're saying.
Oh no, that's fine. I think I am having. I was initially planning to have Twitch open so I could see the chat along with everyone, but I don't think my internet connection is strong enough for that. So I've closed that off. So hopefully
So
the audio will be fine.
That's all right. I've got the chat open on my
I was going to
side.
say, yeah, number one, we can probably leave it as only one of us with the chat open. But also, is there some way to share the chat stream to something else so that we don't have to have Twitch open?
Never had
Um,
plans to be able to.
I think it. I can share my screen and you can see the. You'd be able to see the Twitch playing, but that would be somewhere in the background. Yeah, and so I could share my screen to Discord. You guys can see the
Well,
Twitch chat.
otherwise, I could. Yeah, no, that's not going to help. No, leave it for now. Unless. Let me check. That is not how you spell Twitch. Channel. Because, yeah, I'm pretty sure. If you load up the stream, you can go to settings. Is it in quality? No. Is it Kayana?
Kayana, yeah.
Is the video output high enough quality?
So I can see it and it doesn't look too bad.
Okay. I'm now looking at the channel itself, and because I'm looking to see if you can like pop out the chat and not have the video stream at all.
To pop up the Twitch chat.
Yeah. There you go. Pop out chat.
Ooh.
If I close that, does the pop out still function? Yes. It seems to. There you go. So Zoha, if you load up the Twitch stream and go to the settings, you can pop out just the chat as a separate window, and then you can close the stream. And then you're not actually streaming the video; you're just streaming the chat. Thank you, Kayana.
Kayana's a gem. She's really good to have around.
Okay. Next.
This is very fun.
We are all learning, except for Posh, who knows everything.
I'm just really clever.
So, as if logging me into Twitch to set up Streamlabs didn't log me into Twitch in Streamlabs, and I have to log in separately. This is a problem when Google remembers all your passwords. Log in. I know that two-factor authentication is a really good thing, but it makes things so hard.
Just extra steps.
Remember this computer. Okay, this is incredible. Incredible content of me trying to log into Twitch so that I can do the first thing that I wanted to do. Huzzah! And I'm guessing I can organize Streamlabs better to do that in the future.
Yeah, there are bots you can have
I'm
that
sure.
are, yeah,
Yeah.
that can post links and stuff in the chat for you.
Yeah. And if I expected to have, so this is the game that we will be playing today. And if it goes well, it'll be the first game that we play for every region we set up.
The ground itself.
The ground itself. We're going to begin the region by defining the ground itself. This is interesting because one of the mechanics that it runs through is it kind of sets a timeline that I thought we could use to determine how old the region is, so that we know whether we're like exploring a new place that hasn't been seen in millennia, or if it's like somewhere that's been very well explored and settled. 'Cause
Gotcha.
that could be a very interesting way to determine like what we're looking at and what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I believe, yes, so this was included in the bundle for racial justice and equality. I don't know how many of your people, Posh, were around for that, but yeah, at the start of the pandemic, we all remember the George Floyd incident.
Yep.
As a response to that, a bunch of TTRPG and video game designers on itch put together a bundle, and it just kept growing, and it ended up something like 2,000 games, something like that, some ridiculous number.
Nice.
And yeah, so this was one of those that was involved in that.
Very nice.
There you go, 1,391 creators. Put forward
Wow.
1,741 games for a minimum cost of $5 for the entire bundle. And all of the proceeds went to the Black Justice for American somewhere or another, NAACP, and Community Bail Fund.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there. And when I first started looking at world building games, I flicked through there and I found this and I found a few other ones that we'll be using.
Ooh.
So yes, many people may already have this if they were around for that. Otherwise, it's literally $5. And to be totally honest, I've never played it, but we're about to.
Woo.
Okay. Do the two of you have any other questions before we jump in?
No.
Fabulous. As I said before, I know that we have already defined some measure of a world for this game, but I'm willing to throw everything out, especially if we find something really cool, and just play with whatever comes along.
Nice.
Okay, so the first thing to do in the game is establish our place. Each player is dealt cards from the face card stack. Oh, we have to split it up into... Why didn't I read this game beforehand? For people watching the stream, this is a neat little thing called playingcards.io that lets you play with playing card decks on the internet. So I can't easily split it up. So I'm going to have to go... Oh, there we go. My computer did not like that for some reason. Getting started. Okay, separate the cards into two stacks, one of faces and one of numbers. Remove the jokers. This is something that I should have read beforehand, but this is the fun of a setup stream. Let's make this one the numbers. Edit holder. And this one can be the faces. Edit collection, cards. Okay, jokers are removed. This is the faces, so clear all, and then we'll go to faces and add one. Ace is not a face. So I know Zohar has a rather intense understanding of the game, unless you're one of those people that can read words and not actually take in the words that you're reading.
Yeah, I have an understanding.
Posh, what do you remember about Autostede?
Are we talking like the rules or like the world itself?
Let's go with both.
Both. Okay. So
The world, we are going to be redefining from scratch.
Nice.
So knowledge of the world is a problem that we're all going to face.
I love that.
Oh no.
Because I defined some very big themes in the original world that I'm not married to, and I think we're all going to just assume that they're correct.
Okay.
I do remember the main thing you mentioned was post-apocalyptic. What was it?
Yeah.
Minimal fauna, lots of flora.
Yeah.
Something similar to that, yes?
Yeah. So I think I've settled on it's going to be a world where, basically all of the animals are dead. And instead of animals, we have
How could you?
we have the Autostedes. We just never really have to play in the thing of how does this interact with other animals. Like we're only interacting with steeds.
Yeah.
So it's very much a Pokemon kind of world where there's just Pokemon and that's it.
Yeah. Now, for anyone that's listening, the steeds are like Zoids. These are robotic.
Yeah. So the steeds started off as Zoids and then became Pokemon.
Yeah.
Is the best way that I found to describe how everything worked.
So it's like insect life too. So yeah, all animals.
And anywhere where like losing animals would literally destroy the world, we can decide whether that happened and the world healed somehow, or if that didn't happen and there's still bees in the world.
I think did an animal game the other like ages ago when it was
Yeah.
like you and someone else, where we tried making like some of the bugs play, some of the steeds played as pollinators. And I think we had the bomb waddle was one of
Yes.
the plants.
That was
It was such a wild plant, and I was so happy with it.
Oh, these are Zoids. I've just been quietly Googling what Zoids are in the background.
Zoids was an
Zoids.
attempt by a company to make toys and then turned it into an anime. And that was one of the animes from my youth that exposed me to Japanese media. That and
Neat.
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was very much one of like Transformers, where they came up with a toy and then they turned it into a show so they could sell the toy.
Pretty sure most toons do that. There's a lot of shows out there that are like, yeah, we're making this so we can sell toys.
That's true, but I think
Oh, we lost you there, Zoha.
When Zohar goes, they go.
Oh, you back? You back?
hang on. We'd leave and come back.
I do wonder.
Connecting. Am I back?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
I am wondering.
Hey, for some reason, hang on, I'm going to drop this in the next channel because looking up Zoids, apparently Zoids are something in geometry as well. I did not know this. This is so interesting. Open image. How do I share an image? Zoids.
Oh,
Where are we?
I have no idea what it
links.
Oh,
is. Result when I Google Zoids.
I'm gonna open this up in the browser so that people in the stream can see what we're looking at. These are apparently Zoids in geometry.
And if anyone's wondering, this is what Richard's game is all about.
Yes, this is entirely what my game is based on.
This is
This
the
and not
whole
the
game.
yeah. And if I ever
This
mention
is-
Zoids, I don't mean the copyrighted media empire. I mean these things. Specifically, I don't know what you're talking about.
He means the geometry concept of Zoids.
Yes.
Apparently, this is a concept in geometry. What is this?
No, I'd
And they've got
believe it.
eyes. Are they eyes?
It's the Illuminati.
I'm going to look into this. This is such a riveting stream. We've got one
Oh.
person setting up playing cards and one person googling math in the background.
Hey, if people aren't here for it, then I don't want them.
Bill Cipher.
Huh.
Nice. Yeah, Bill Cipher is responsible for Zoids.
In geometry, a zoid is a triangle circumscribed in a circle. But
Now that. Yes.
a zoid. The term zoid in geometry refers to shapes without definite properties for problems. For example, comparing two groups of shapes and say a zoid is any shape in both groups. Oh, it's like an n-gon.
Okay.
Is is just a cutesy name for a generic shape.
Yeah, for a
That's-
shape that doesn't have a defined shape.
Exactly.
Okay. I can
Also,
get
I can't be a Zoid because I'm defined as round.
You can do whatever you want.
You're definitely a Zoid because there's no specific word for just how round you are.
Oh yes.
Okay. So I'm going to run into problems that I'm going to attempt to not worry about just because that's going to work. Yeah. Because that's not going to show up on the stream. Yeah.
Apparently, I'm a bad noodle. I'm a good noodle. I swear.
You're a banana.
Yeah.
This is the one thing I know about you.
Banana.
Okay. I'm going to change this to make it easier to read. Okay.
I remember
So,
rightly.
back to the
Banana
game.
get to play was a bad noodle.
Back to the game that we're apparently playing. Separate the cards into 2 stacks, one of faces and one of numbers, which I've done. Remove the jokers, shuffle each stack and place them face down on the table. It says to have a piece of paper and take notes. I don't know about you two. I'm really bad at taking notes generally, so I'm going to hope that I remember everything that we talk about.
Good thing this is live and recorded.
Indeed.
We can go back and review.
So this one here is a coin. I set it
coin.
up originally for Decuma because in Decuma it really matters whether the that's not helpful. Whether the card is face up or face down, and
Okay.
this program that we're using does not care about that.
Gotcha.
So Decuma, it doesn't matter today, but we have a coin.
Ooh.
And the other one is a die. So place the coin on the table, heads up. This is a consent mechanic. Oh no, that is not how we use coins in the game. Chooser? Let's go with that. Unless, does this have an X card?
Yes.
In out chooser. That's going to be. Did it put it into edit mode for you guys as well?
I don't see nothing.
Okay.
There is a little toolbox that says edit table. Will something break if I click on that?
Okay.
Oh yeah, Kia sees it.
Oh.
So whoever's
Oh, so I'm editing the table. So yeah, it'll come up on stream.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've put a little button there.
Mm-hmm.
We're not worrying about the coin. So yeah, as a bit of an X card kind of thing, if anything really doesn't sit well with us, you can click the in-out button. If it says out, then we are not going to talk about anything that's going on in the game. We're going to make sure that everything's good and not move forward until everything's good. And when we all decide that everything's good, we're going to go back in and we're going to continue the game.
Sweet.
Okay, so the setting for our game should be decided collaboratively around the table. This may be emergent. For example, one player may suggest a place that involves animals, another player may amend this to mean a zoo. A third player may agree but suggest making it a zoo planet. Establishes a biodiversity reserve in the far future. You may feel out multiple options but try not to say no to each other's suggestions. Rather, build on top of existing ideas or ask clarifying questions to create a place that is everyone's. So yeah, this is why there are going to be no wrong answers except for there's, at the very least, almost no animals and there's almost no animals left, if there are any animals at all. Plants have gone wild in the absence of animals, and steeds are everywhere. Those are the 3 known facts about the world.
I really thought you were going to say there are no wrong answers except what I decided wrong.
Yes, there's no hard and fast specific things except for what I decide in the moment, and you can all just get behind that or get out.
So pretty much whatever we're doing, it is yes and, but because we're doing for a specific setting, there are some rules that we've got to kind of abide by. Gotcha. Sweet.
So, did I miss something or did I skip a page? I skipped a page earlier. Awesome. I'm glad I went back over. A timeline. The game is played in 4 cycles, and each cycle is separated by a gap in time. One player rolls the 6-sided die and records the results. Who would like to do that?
Busting out notes.
So Posh, your note taker?
Apparently so. Yep.
Okay. In that case, Zohar, could you click on the die and get us a number?
Wonderful. Oh, I have to select a number. It won't randomly roll.
You can't roll? Oh no, I messed up.
I can just roll a physical die if you like. I can roll if.
Let's go with that for now.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure most of us should have like physical dice.
No,
within.
I don't know. No, we don't have any dice. This is not. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I have fixed that, so now it'll roll.
Hey!
If you've already got a dice out and rolled it, I'll go with that.
My physical.
So you cut out, so we didn't hear you.
Oh, I think I'm back.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Hi.
So what
I
did
was
your
just
die?
saying that it's a wonderful coincidence because I rolled a 6 on this little program, which is the same thing I rolled on my physical die.
There you
So
go.
there are 6.
So it's a 6. In the game, a 6 is millennia. So we're playing a game over thousands of years, and what was here may not survive these jumps in recognizable ways. So that's going to be interesting. I wonder how often we're going to get that. So yeah, so this place is old. We had in our original plan that the world ended at some point, and the Autostedes came about at some point. We may see what happened with this particular game. We may not, at the very least. So this area that we are building first has been around essentially forever, effectively.
Ooh. Okay.
Which is probably a good thing to start off with, realistically. Like some deep lore, long history. Okay, establishing our place. Each player is dealt cards from the face card stack in a circle until no cards are left.
Nice.
So I'm going to say over here will be Posh.
Nice.
Over here will be me. Oh no. Don't flip. Don't flip. And over here will be Zohar.
Woo.
Okay, that's
How
all
are
of
you
our
doing
faces.
that? Oh
If
my
you right
goodness,
click,
you can spin the cards. You can spin them.
Now I think with these, yeah, they'll
I
always
am
come back to
excited.
face up. But I have set these up late for later on that they can go upside down as well as face up.
Are these tarot cards?
These are tarot cards.
Ooh.
Maybe we'll set it up that we'll do one hand of Dekuma at the end of each game. That sounds like a fun idea. Okay.
Ooh, can carry this down. Sorry,
Each player
I'm
sets
so
down one
distracted
card
by
at a time and answers the question associated with the card detailed below. They may read the questions first or pick between their cards at random. Keep going till the world field is established or each player is out of cards, whichever happens first. Try to keep this discussion under 25 minutes. Keep your answers to each question very short. You may wish to make brief notes to jog your memory later. Okay, so this is like broad strokes mode. We can just keep going until we decide we're done.
Sweet.
We each have our own little deck now.
It's an average size deck. Thank you very much. It's perfectly adequate.
For that comment, Posh, I would like you to flip over a card, and you can answer the first question. So yeah, if you decide you don't want to answer this question, you can put your card aside, and it just means we have one less question to answer.
Yeah.
The King of Clubs. If there are any inhabitants, what are the visions for the future that they hold? Is it a long view or a short one?
So the land we're talking about is millennia old. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It will be millennia old by the time we're finished.
Okay. So would it be, assuming that I'm talking about the inhabitants from a millennia, from like the beginnings of this land?
So taking a broad view, so you can pick either end of that timeline or somewhere in the middle. Like throughout time, did they always have a view far in the future, or did they end up with one far in the future, or did they never really think much about what they were doing?
Okay. What a hard question to start with. I'm gonna go with these people that were here did not have a broad view. So they didn't have a broad view of the future.
Okay. Did they end up with one?
You know, I'm gonna go with no.
Okay.
They didn't have a broad. I feel like they would have been very immediate.
Okay.
So if they did have any vision for the future, it would be what's happening.
Yeah.
Whatever world we're in, this area at the moment, it was very reactive.
Yeah.
To situations, so there wasn't a lot of broad.
Yeah.
Wasn't a very broad view for anything.
And then it's got, what are the visions for the future that they hold? I'm going to say, can you answer that for just like the first, like the earliest people in this region? What were they looking for?
So what were they looking for? So the earliest people in this area, what were they looking for? Yeah, I'm gonna go with. Oh, it's so hard. I'm gonna go with. I've been running on this whole capitalist idea lately, so I'm stuck on the idea. It's like these people were very money now. Things later.
They were looking for money now.
Yeah, so it's I think it's a very financial success, but it's the immediate, not the long term success.
Okay. So yeah,
So
they were they were looking for some way of making money from the new land.
Yeah, so they wanted to reap benefits immediately, but didn't have long term solutions or goals for anything.
Okay. So we're starting off real hard. Let's just not deal with the nice parts of life, hey? Let's just start with the bad stuff.
Start with the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Zoha, did you have any other questions?
Nothing comes to mind at the moment.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, this is currently broad strokes and quick answers, so let's move on.
Also, for context for anyone listening, a millennium is 1,000 years, and the Earth itself is estimated to be 4.6 billion years old.
Damn.
So about 4,600,000 millennia.
Yeah. That's a long time.
Wow.
Just to put our 6 millennium time frame into some context.
Yes. So it's not 6 millennium. It's multiple millennium. Millennia. Yeah. The number 6 is what decided it will be millennia. Because that's
I see.
That's one of the reasons I like this game. Because that die roll at the start determines how, because at some stage through the game we're going to jump, and every jump that thing determines how long that jump is.
Oh, so we're going to have jumps of 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Magnificent.
So this is going to get interesting. Okay, so my question is, the Jack of Spades, what are the threats to this place? Are these threats to the materiality of the place or threats or the people that live in it? I'm going to say kind of both. I'm going to say that this is a dangerous place and kind of play into that they were looking to reap some kind of financial benefit. And I think they were, whether they were miners or something like that, but they were looking to go into a place that everyone told them was too dangerous to live. They were looking to go there and get something that that everyone needed. So whether that was some kind of mineral ore that was only in a volcano, I'm not entirely sure. It says, what other threats? Let's go with a volcano. Let's say there's a big volcano. There's lots of tectonic activity and so there's magma and earthquakes, and they are looking to extract ore from the area. But yeah, so there's physical, geological issues that make that very difficult and dangerous.
Geological issues are a danger. Do you reckon that would have made for long-term settlers, or would that be many people over generations? Or is that not a question we need answered now?
Well, I mean, that ties into your idea that it's all very short-sighted, is that it could be that people don't stick around here. They come here, or at least for the start of time, they were coming here, they were doing their job, and they were leaving as soon as they could, so they weren't in danger.
So do you reckon there was an actual populace to the area, or was it people come in, it's too dangerous, grab what they can and leave?
I reckon most people came and left, and I reckon there's a handful that ended up sticking around and developed ways of working around the danger so that they could live a happy life,
So you'd say there'd be a small population?
Yeah, there's a small population of people that have been here forever. By the end of the millennia, there's been a small population that have held true, and they may have some really weird ways of handling the danger, but yeah, the majority of people come and go.
And there's volcanic and seismic activity.
Yeah.
Legendary. I like that.
That's wonderful. I also have to assume that the people who have been here for so long, the constant seismic and volcanic activity must have affected how they build their settlements. and how they deal with their architecture. Like cities that have higher seismic activity will build their buildings in certain ways to not need to constantly be repairing as much as cities that have less activity.
Yeah. So they may have come up with architectural solutions to the seismic activity and stuff like that. That then, their houses could be exceptionally strong or flexible.
Yeah.
What'd be interesting is if the get around the seismic activity part is if they had their buildings within lakes.
Ooh, that could be interesting because that also helps them
Floating
against
settlements.
the magma.
So some of the volcanic activity wouldn't be as big an issue either.
Mm.
What could be cool about these lakes is if they were hot springs, so it was actually clean water.
Mm.
I like that.
Well, I think that's enough on that card so that we can keep things moving. Zoha, would you like to flip yours?
Yes. All right.
Queen of Clubs, starting with all the blacks. What was the greatest moment in this place's history? An innovation, a
Great.
discovery, a revolution, a new sapling, the emergence of a cycle of cicadas?
Mm.
So yeah, the greatest moment in the history.
Greatest moment in the settlement's history. That's such an interesting question. Hmm. So could you read the prompt again?
Yep, the Queen of Clubs. What was the greatest moment in this place's history? An innovation, a discovery, a revolution, a new sapling, the emergence of a cycle of cicadas?
Hmm. Innovation, discovery, and new settling. Hmm. I think I think it must have been. I don't exactly know what it is, but I feel like it must have been something important enough that causes this core group of people to stay here. Because, like
Uh,
you say, a lot of people will just come here, grab what they can quickly, and leave. But there must be something about this place that has necessitated these people to stay here longer because they maybe feel they can extract more value from the land, or there's something in particular about the water. Poki mentioned the hot springs. I think maybe something to do with the water, but I don't know exactly what.
I have an idea, and you could take it and leave it. Take it or leave it if you wanted. What if there was seismic, the water wasn't always there, and during seismic activities, hot springs had broken loose to the surface.
Hmm.
But that's just an idea.
because I was going to say that it could be that when they found something to do with the water that was going to require time to kind of come to fruition.
Hmm.
Because for them to stay, then they'd have to have some reason, not just to make a settlement, but to not leave.
So maybe something to do with the lake bed. Maybe there's something worth extracting underneath the water.
Mm,
Ooh.
And that's interesting because then most of the other people are very, as you said, immediate, very transitional. But this specific group of people are in for the long haul,
yeah,
thinking and planning for future eventualities.
that really creates an interesting kind of dichotomy that there'd be the locals would have not quite a disdain, but they just wouldn't really consider the people coming and going very important. Because
Mhm.
you'll show up, you'll do your thing, and you'll leave, and I don't need to worry about you unless you end up staying here for a couple of years.
What is important is permanence, stability.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll say the discovery of
Under
something
the lake.
valuable or important under the lake that will require time and effort and planning to remove, and that is why they have settled.
what if we mix that with what Posh said, and what if they were mining in an area, and they hit a seam of something, and in trying to get that out, they hit a hot spring, and then the valley they were in filled up with water from the hot spring.
Ooh,
So there's this story of the thing that's below the lake, but they have to find a way to get below the lake.
that's really good. I like that.
And so yeah, it's tied into the story of the founding of this settlement, because the water was a godsend in that, like, suddenly they have clean water that is abundant and is able to keep at bay some of the volcanic activity and support them away from the seismic activity. So they've got this safe haven because of this sudden lake,
Yeah.
but they also know that beneath that is what they're here for, and it's yeah.
So valley floods after hot spring bursts during mining.
Mm-hmm.
There is something under the water/lake bed. Do you reckon that'd be similar to urban legend, or is that known? It's not an easily accessed thing.
I think that it has been so long since any successful attempts have been made to get to the bottom of the lake that it is now 50%. Oh, it's just an old wives' tale. It's just an urban legend. There's nothing actually at the bottom of the lake. And 50%, but what if there is?
Yeah. Like, I think we can say, as the kind of world builders of this area, that there was definitely an instant where the lake was created, and that's why there is a settlement on the lake. I don't know
And it
if everyone
definitely
who
was because of mining.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone who comes here believes that.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume, again, because this has become so much part of their history, and I'm going to assume it's also become very much part of their tradition in the sense that you probably like train strong youngsters to be good deep divers and swimmers, and there's a lot of emphasis on mining and architecture. The people who pass by probably just think it's a folktale.
Yep.
No one's really taking it very seriously.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the importance placed on the underneath of the lake could be that, by the end of the multiple millennia that we're going to explore, it could be that, like, people just think there's a god down there, and that's like they're mining to get back to their god. Like that could be like the end folk tale. Okay. Before we move on, do we feel like the broad strokes have been defined enough, or do you want to do another round?
I feel like general culture and setting of the area. I feel like we've got that down pat at the moment. Like it's pretty solid. We've got a solid foundation to what we've got.
We've covered what.
Yeah. We know which direction we're heading.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will clear all of those. Yes. Okay. So we'll recall and shuffle all of them, and they're now all gone. So I hope you didn't have any lingering doubts about whether or not we were finished. Okay, so we're going to have 4 cycles of gameplay. Looking at the time and our considered 2 hours, I reckon if we do 1 cycle and then we'll do a hand of the other core game that we'll be playing with is going to be the Exquisite Biome, if Poach remembers that. And that's a game specifically designed to make animals. And so we're going to be using that to populate this place with steeds.
Oh.
So yeah, if we do a round of this and then that, and then once we're finished with these rounds, we might play some other games to explore some other areas and continue to make steeds. And then once we're done all of that, the current thought will be 6 fortnights, so 6 sessions. So if there's 4, that's 2 other games after that, which could be to kind of city building games or whatever else. And that'll give us a grand history and a bunch of steeds. and a couple of city locations that could make it a useful little setting primer if anyone wants to play in this game.
Love
Okay.
that.
So, during our 4 cycles of gameplay, players draw cards from the numerical pile. Each type of card is associated with a set of questions which are answered in order. For example, the first time the player draws an ace of any suit, they would answer the first question listed under aces.
Okay.
And then the second time they draw that number, they read the second prompt.
Cool.
And then, where's the player may also discard the card before addressing the question and enter a focus situation, choosing to tell a story or roleplay a scene. If you don't think the question is relevant, that instead lets us kind of dig in on something else that's been interesting and really define that.
No.
If the card drawn is a 10, the cycle ends, moving us forward in time.
Okay.
So yeah, if we end very quickly, then we may run another hand. We may not, or just play another game. Okay. So, continuing our cycle, I believe it starts with Posh.
Oh.
2s. Where is our list of prompts? Card meanings. Okay, 2s. The first prompt in the 2s. Name a monument, a marker, a statue, or other physical memory that exists in the place. What
Physical
is
memory.
the story that it marks?
I'm going to go with. I want to say there's a lot of. Not a lot of. I want to say there is one big, very major geyser,
Okay.
and that is probably where a lot of the um um so
So just jumping out quickly for a second.
mhm,
I said there's going to be 4 cycles.
mhm.
This is where the millennia comes in. So this is the first period of time.
Oh, first period of time.
Yeah.
There is
And
a
then next
marker.
time, the next
Gotcha.
cycle is the next period of time. So once we hit 10, we're going to move forward by 1,000 years. So this is something that is either popular or built like in the first days.
Gotcha. All right. I want to say okay. I still want to go with a geyser
Yep.
in the area, which I think for the area would hint towards that there are underground
Water reserves.
pockets of water reserves. Yeah.
Well, would this be like the first geyser that fills the lake? Like, could it still sometimes spurt water up even after the lake is filled? And like it becomes an event that at some stage the geyser spurts again.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you say geyser, like I'm thinking like Old Faithful in America, where they've got it mapped out exactly when it's gonna.
Okay, gotcha.
Is the correct term spurt from a geyser? But yeah, that'd be my only question is, you say a geyser, is this something that is still constantly active, or is it a place that they have marked that there was once a geyser?
I want to say this is our early days for this one, so this would be before the lake filled.
Sure.
So I think what was significant about it is people coming in would try to utilize it as a water source because it was very constant.
Okay.
So
they,
it's like, yeah,
they
very
found a
very
spot
active
where,
guys.
every couple of weeks there'd be a water spurt from this place. So
Mm.
the locals would all go over to this place, gather what water they could, to keep them going with their work. So
Yeah,
it
so that
became like
was what was
a
significant
locally known
about
place. Yeah.
it. Yeah. So it was a very significant event where it's like you didn't have water if it didn't come down kind
Yeah.
of event.
That also like creates a very kind of gathering place, um, like almost like a point where unofficially, like societal change occurs because so many people happen to be in the one place at one time.
Yeah.
And so anything that needs to be discussed amongst everyone that's going to affect everyone, that can be discussed there and then. Because everyone's going to be there anyway.
Yeah. I feel like this would also be like really hot
Yeah.
water
I
as
was thinking that, like, gathering water from a spurting geyser, that's going to be like searingly hot water. So even this is a very dangerous activity.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like this is an essential kind of danger as well.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those things where people would come in, they'd set up things to catch water
And then like retreat to a safe distance.
and retreat to a safe distance.
Yeah.
So the people that I think what would have been a problem for people coming into the area and they're not local is there'd be a lot of injuries regularly because they'd be trying to collect water.
Mm.
They've either faced dehydration because they were ill prepared, or they tried to collect water,
And get
but
scalded.
it's like they're not used to like, yeah, no, this thing's gonna spray water, but it's searing hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And yeah, I think that's about it I've got for that one. So, massive geyser, one of the few sources, if only the only source of clean water locally.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, Zoha? Oh, Zoha's muted.
Hello? Okay.
Hello.
So I was just wondering, I know this is early days, but if enough people are passing through that they eventually become aware of what is the safe distance to keep, do you think they would have made a little boundary, a little stone circle for as long as they were there, just to remind younger or less experienced people not to cross the circle? Or would they just not bother?
I really like that, actually.
What could be an interesting thing is because water does erode stone naturally over time, is like there could be a natural erosion of the stone around
Hmm.
that the locals can identify as the safe area.
Oh. So there would be pock marks where a lot of what spillover from the geyser would fall.
Yeah. So it's the locals have that understanding.
I wanted to throw in a curveball there from taking inspiration from that. That what if, like, everyone kind of, as this becomes known and as it becomes a regular thing, people start, like, people will put a stone, like when they come, everyone puts a stone kind of in the ring, like as far as they're willing to go.
Ooh.
And then that stone over time, like people have their own personal stones, and you start, like, when you show up to the geyser, you don't look around the people because there's just a massive crowd, but you look at the stones that are in the circle around the geyser to see if your friends are there yet.
Oh. So
I
you
like
can
that.
tell by the
Yeah, so you can tell by the stones who's there, and also like it may be like kids will put their stones closer to the geyser to show how brave they are. They'd be willing to go this far in.
Imagining young teenage boys daring each other to put their stones as close to the geyser as possible.
Yeah, I can imagine a game where like the teenage boys will like stand far back and then throw towards the geyser, and that's where their stone lands, and that's where they have to stand.
I like the idea that it's because it's when I think massive guys, I think it's like ludicrously big. So there would be this massive area where it's like an like a stone's throw, for lack of better words. It's it still doesn't make it close to where the whole of the geyser is.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can
So
stand at a
it's
safe distance and throw a stone, and you can walk to that point, and you're still like a decent distance away from the geyser.
yeah, so it's like several stones throws to get to where the actual hole of the geyser is. So this is a fairly big kind of scene.
And if this is the geyser that ends up filling up the lake, I don't know if we said that, but I love the vision that like the early days, it like this stone is slowly getting worn away, and it just gets like lower and lower, and eventually when they hit that thing, like it starts filling up, and the edge of that lake is then that safe point.
Mm.
And I don't know how that's going to play out in over the millennia that we're going to see, but I think that. Well, do you want to say that this is the first geyser, or do you want to say that this is just the place where they realize that there's underwater water?
I want to say this is the first geyser.
Okay.
Yeah. We can say this is the first geyser.
Yep. So yeah, this gathering place, these games, this is the first people to really understand this, and utilize this natural resource and how they reacted to it, and this is going to change dramatically in the future. But they don't really look at that, and they don't really care or think about it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Nice. Cool.
Okay, moving on. Next, we have a 9. It's almost a 10.
Oh.
9s. First question for 9s. What do people eat and drink here? What is considered traditional? Well, I mean, we've figured out what they drink, because water is a problem. So there's obviously some method of gathering the water and then cooling the water and then having a reserve of water until the next geyser erupts. But I'm interested in what people eat, because we've said that there's no animals. So that's something we ran into in the original game, that, one of the first things I said was, you're at a tavern, there's a pig on the spit, and we realized, well, wait, there's no animals.
There's no animals. How did they get the pig?
But it being, not so much with the seismic activity, but it being a volcanic area, that usually means that it's very fertile.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that whether like on the sides of the mountain or at some of the plateaus at the base of the mountains, they grow. I mean, volcanic soil. You think a lot of palm trees. So we've got that kind of thing. Let's quickly look up volcanic soil plants. Maize, sorghum, potatoes, peas, bamboo, and eucalypts.
We should have bamboo, because then we have the floating, flexible settlements later on, no? Those could be
Yes,
made out.
that's very true. If bamboo was commonly grown, because bamboo grows quite quickly, doesn't it?
Yes.
So I think
Considering we're in a world where plants have mutated as well, could you imagine if bamboo had started fruiting?
Oh, that's very interesting.
That's a fun idea.
So yeah, I think there's a local bamboo growing. And what if between the lava flows and the hot water, what if it's a species of bamboo that's become like resistant to heat?
Ooh.
And I don't know how if that would like turn it hard almost like a metal, but like something that grows real fast in the fertile soils. Because yeah, if people started off not sticking around and they found something that would grow fast, they can eat, and also grows fruit, which has some measure of juice, so that so there's the water problem is slightly lessened.
What? Well, what if it was able to be made into like an oat?
Well, because bamboo shoots are eaten generally,
Hmm.
so I don't know how exactly that works, but
I mean, like something to be ground down and it can
yeah,
be made
because
into
yeah,
like
bamboo
a.
is very fibrous, so I don't know how
Yeah.
it'll grind down. Um,
We can
I'm
have
sure I'm
another
just
plant for
spitballing.
that.
pardon, sorry, Zoha.
There's we can have another plant for that because there's around thermal springs you tend to have a lot of diverse mosses and ferns. So maybe we could use something like that for our flower. It doesn't all have to be dependent on the bamboo.
This is true. Yeah, but yeah, I like that there's the common thing to cultivate for large amounts of food is the bamboo. But I like the idea of mosses. And I
Ooh.
think maybe like they, especially in these early days, they never quite understood how to cultivate the mosses, but it keeps growing everywhere. And they found that if they scrape it off the rock and dry it out, they can grind it down into a very usable flour.
So dry moss flour. Ooh, I like the idea of that one.
Yeah, because I like the
At
idea,
least-
especially with plants being slightly antagonistic. I like the idea of them like having something they rely on for food that they just can't figure out a way to cultivate properly.
Yeah. Hard to cultivate, but fast growing. And did we want the bamboo to be fruiting in a way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
So
it
heat
interesting and
resistant
strange.
Oh yeah, heat resistant bamboo that fruits.
Yes. And so yeah, it also said what people eat and drink. So aside from the cooled water that is important for everyday life, I think yeah, fruit juice, bamboo fruit juice.
I have a suggestion. Could the fruit of the bamboo be something like a gourd, something that has a hard shell, so that it would have the juice inside, but then you could use the dried shell, heat resistant, as containers for the thermal water?
Absolutely, that is amazing. So yeah, it's this weird, super fast bamboo that grows gourds. I love it. So yeah, like gourd pumpkin kind of flesh,
Oh,
like
I like
melon. Yes, like melon flesh inside with like kind of like a coconut water of a juice.
Mhm.
Very cool.
That's cool. I like
Yes.
that. Very heat resistant and hardy as well. So I'd imagine that'd be just that alone would be in major tool use.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At least the bamboo shafts would be used. Yeah, to make tool handles. I don't know if it would be hard enough to be used as a blade, but also if they're digging up a lot of ore, then they've got ore.
Mm.
I wonder if it if it's heat resistant, would it burn? Like, could you use it as fuel?
I don't think it could burn, but again, maybe the dried moss.
Oh well, if we've got dried moss for food, I don't think they'll be using it for food and for fuel.
But would you need that if you have burning hot water?
Well, that's true. No, I'm just thinking to for forgers to get it to deal with ore, you need a source of hot heat.
Yeah.
Although,
I
like,
wonder,
if the
So that's
volcano
my
if the volcanoes
question.
are
Could
active enough,
you? That's my question. Could you potentially could water get hot enough that you could potentially
Steam forging.
I'm gonna say somehow it works, and we don't have to explain how or why.
Just the water's hot enough to forge with.
Yeah, and the only thing you can catch that water in, because like the water burns through and wears away the stone. So the only way that they've been able to capture the water is in these heat-resistant gourds.
I like that.
I love it.
That'd lead to like geysers. Yeah. Oh, uses geysers for forging.
Yeah, it's like when they're less active, the geysers will still spurt steam, and they use that as a heat source to deal with metal ores and all that kind of stuff. I love it.
Nice.
Okay,
I like
I think that's pardon.
Sorry, I was just Googling if you could forge with water, and one link I found was making a bamboo water scoop for water forging.
Very cool. That clearly it's all meant to
Open
be.
this. What is this?
Love that.
Water forging means evenly applying water to the surface of the anvil or the hot steel to moderate the temperature, and they use bamboo traditionally for that. That's fascinating.
There you go. We totally planned this
Yeah,
ahead
absolutely.
of time.
Yeah.
We're just that clever.
And actually, yeah, thinking of bamboo as also being hollow kind of makes me think that instead of strictly fruit, that maybe like the ends of the bamboo develop into balls. And so the outside of the gourd is actually bamboo flesh kind of thing.
Okay.
And they have to chop off the end of the bamboo shoot when it has grown to the size that they want.
Ooh, bamboo is a kind of grass and carries a form of sugar. See, that wouldn't be that's not a bad idea. That it's like, imagine it'd be possibly even a little sweet.
Like sugarcane.
What if the bamboo had crossbred with sugarcane?
Anyway, yeah, these are all very interesting questions. I think we've massaged this prompt as much as we need to. Which brings us to Zohar, your prompt. The 5 of clubs. First 5. What are the stars like in our place? The sky. What's the weather? So what does the sky look like?
That is a fantastic question. I definitely think that since we mentioned that we have very nomadic people who tend to go through and keep traveling, collecting what they need, these are people who are very attuned to navigating by the sky when necessary,
Okay.
especially at night. But I will say, okay, so you know how the Greeks and the Romans and the old settlements in Manjudar and all, how they started adding stories to the constellations, right?
Yes.
They started naming the constellations, and there were stories behind them, and a whole mythology arose from the stars themselves. That is not present right now in the early days because nobody has settled, and so no one really sits and looks up at the sky. The sky, for now, the stars are just a navigational tool. All anyone really cares about is where the brightest navigational stars are and where it's going to point them to.
Now, I do like the idea. So, but I just want to, with the area being high volcanic activity, how does that play into navigating via stars?
Yeah, because there'll be a lot of smoke if the volcanoes are consistently erupting or even threatening to erupt.
Oh, that's a very valid question. I didn't take that into account.
No.
That does make sense, though. I mean, in this particular place, at least, no one really puts any importance to the stars in the sky. Then I would assume.
So using stars to navigate.
I wonder if their forebears used them to navigate, and over time we will watch them like use it less and less because the amount of times they can do so is so limited.
So the thing I was trying to say is they do navigate by the stars, not in this particular area, but in their general nomadic travels.
Yeah, where they
Right?
came
When
from.
they get here, it's not useful to them. But for the most part, that is their relationship with the stars in the sky. I think it could actually be really interesting. It adds to the sense of unreality and the sense of constantly trying to survive, I guess, in this current area, especially when, if you're used to navigating by the stars, you reach this area where, for as long as you're here, you can't see the sky clearly most of the time.
Well, I wonder if because we've got people coming and going, I wonder if there's like a period in the year where the volcanic activity kind of dies down and the sky clears a bit, and that's when the travelers come and go. Because everyone who's not local still relies on the stars to navigate.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And since this is early days, this is before the settlement, so there's no one local here yet.
Yeah.
So when volcanic activity dies down is when people are able to navigate.
Yeah, in and out of the area. But yeah, once you get into the central kind of areas of the region, if it's not that one period of the year, it's just, wow, that needs to be removed. Sorry,
Yeah, I was just thinking, I'm like, oh god, I want to get it.
how do I remove?
You should be able to click on the username, and there will be a block, mute, moderate type of button.
Ban.
There we go. Got him.
Yeah, and I guess I love that. The volcanic ashes could absolutely change the color of the sky.
Mm.
It changes, oh my goodness, it changes the colors of the sunrise and the sunsets.
Yes.
I remember this because in the Krakatoa explosion, the historic Krakatoa explosion, it changed the color of the sky for miles and miles around. And it changed the color of the sunsets and sunrises for a few days because there was just so much ash.
What color would that change it to, though?
I think traditionally it's a lot of oranges. And sorry, Zoha, if you can hear us, you've cut out. Oh,
Hello?
hello. You're back.
Ah, good.
So yes, I think you were
Yes,
speaking
no,
that
I
whole
was.
time, and we missed it all.
No. I was just adding on to what you were saying. They would mostly make the sky reds and oranges.
Yep.
And as Kiana said, it would depend on the gas release volcanoes, of course.
I suppose that also gives us, if it depends on the gas released by the volcanoes, it gives us a bit of creative activity to play with some funner colors.
Yeah.
So we
Zoha,
don't have to be
what
all
color
like
do you think
traditional.
it turns the sky?
Sorry, was this a question for me?
Yes.
Ah.
It's
So
a
yeah,
tie-dye
given
sky.
total creative freedom, what do you think?
Oh no.
What color
The
do you
creative freedom
like?
is terrifying. I like purple personally.
Purple. Okay, I love it.
So the sky's purple. Purple rain.
Purple rain.
Love it. So yes, especially in sunrise and sunset, the sky goes purple. And I think like the distance from that time, like that yearly time when the stars are actually visible, I think it goes more purple towards red and then comes less red towards blue over the course of the year. And so that ends up being how they tell time, how they tell the calendar at least.
Oh yeah, I like that. So would that make then the clear sky period would be the beginning of their calendar?
Ooh.
Yeah, well, I mean, and
Reckon
That
that'd be celebrated like a New Year's event.
Oh, yes. So I actually really like that because if the clear sky period is when people know that it's safe to come and collect and leave, that tradition could be carried on even by the people once they've settled there,
yeah, and so they have
right?
a
And this is
massive party to welcome all the new people.
yeah, so it's a party to welcome all the new people, and it also slowly becomes this tradition to just welcome in the new year, the new season, welcome in any good luck for the coming year.
I love it.
I'd
Oh,
imagine that clear skies and people coming in, and that'd be such a big thing of change. So that'd be it'd be like almost like a springtime celebration. It's like everything would be refreshed, got the clean skies, water's been spurted out, people, new people coming in. It'd be a big time for celebration.
Mm. I love it.
Cool.
Okay, so we've done one hand of the ground itself. We're coming up on our allotted time of 5:30 of closing
open
off.
air markets.
Well, the idea will be that will be 2 hours long if we start at 3:30 our time. So I'm going to push these to the side so we can remember them for next time. And in theory, I think this room will stick around. We'll see how that goes. Posh, of course, has been taking lots of notes. We won't have to resort to rewatching the video at all because
Totally
of all the
won't.
notes that you've been taking.
Mhm.
I had this cute idea. I know it's not related, but I'm always thinking about how culture affects language and so on. And I was thinking of what if the phrase clear sky sort of becomes like good luck to you in these people's culture?
I
Yeah.
love that.
May you have clear skies.
May you have clear skies.
I'd also love, like, in the future of this place, if that changes as they become more comfortable with the volcanic kind of region, and clear skies becomes almost like a "you're not from around here" thing. Like that's something we can look at in later millennia. But yeah, I love that as they are settling this place, the language develops that clear skies are this sign of universal goodness.
I could imagine towards the end. It really depends on how a lot of this plays out.
Yeah,
but
that's
could
why I
imagine-
didn't want to nail that down because that it could play out entirely differently.
Yeah. But towards
Kiana
the end
asked
of
a
those
really
months.
good
Oh, mhm.
Sorry, Kiana in the chat asked, are there multiple moons or suns? Can other planetary bodies be seen?
I think this is a alternate version of Earth.
This is one of those reasons that I wanted to say that there are no things determined.
Gotcha.
So if you want to say right now, Zohar, it's still your question to answer. So you have the end word on this. If you want to say that there's 3 suns and 15 moons, then we're just going to roll with that.
I think for simplicity's sake, we keep it Earth-like.
Okay.
We keep it 1 moon, 1 sun.
Okay.
1 moon, 1 sun.
In theory, potentially we have had an apocalypse. Is the moon whole? That's a very common thing that happens in a lot of apocalypses. Is the moon gets blown apart? You want to have one
they have
whole
a fun,
moon?
like, not whole, but maybe one with a chunk. sort of bitten off of it. Like I'm thinking like maybe an asteroid smashed a corner off of it.
Okay. So something's happened to the moon. We're not going to approach that in this particular region. But yeah, the night sky has a moon with a very visible hole. I love it. Okay, so jumping over games now. I'm going to quickly here, and this is the second game that will be the most important thing for this stream, and I'll post that to the chat as well. This is a game called
And there's
Exquisite Biome.
probably ooh, yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just answering Kiana in the chat. Kiana, there's probably urban legends about a second moon, but no one's been able to either prove or disprove its presence.
I love it. I do love being a world builder and doing the world building thing and deciding that things, like not deciding on things. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like with Kiana asking about the second moon, I feel like because there is a hole in the moon itself, people are like, where's that bit gone?
yeah. What
Secret
happened?
second moon.
So there's millions of stories of what happened in the past.
Exactly. Anyway, sorry, I haven't been interrupted.
No, not at all. Okay. So yes, this is Exquisite Biome, and this is actually the game that that prompted this entire project idea, because I needed to develop steeds for the game, and the idea of playing a game to develop a biome of animals that is kind of almost connected in a really interesting way, really became curious and then interesting, and we played one run of it, and it went so well that I decided that we had to do this properly. So yes, this is Exquisite Biome. With the time we have, I think we can make one creature, and I reckon if we make sure we play this for one hand to do one creature at the very least every stream, then eventually we'll have a pile we can draw from.
Pile of creatures.
Pile of creatures.
Pile of creatures.
So there is a pre-game thing to define the land, but I don't think that's going to be relevant for, if we're going to be defining the land in a different game.
Yeah.
But I will.
Critter pile.
Where's this?
Pile of creatures sounds like an obscure punk band.
Yes, it does. So I'm going to draw two cards. And so this animal that we're going to define is going to be from the season. It is a spade. It is a cool and wet season animal that can be defined or altered however you want in the end. And the Queen of Clubs. A clubs it's active in the afternoon or in twilight. But cool and wet, afternoon, twilight as our initial. We can leave them up. We won't use the whole deck. So to play this game, we use 3 cards. It's helpful because there's 3 of us playing. Makes it easy.
Nice.
Do you want to continue the order that we've gone, or do you want to mix it up and go backwards this time around?
We could probably continue the order we're going in.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay. So this creature that is native to this place of volcanoes and seismic activity and hot geysers and crazy bamboo.
Mm-hmm.
The Jack of Hearts, which is a generalist omnivore, similar to humans or monkeys. And it being a heart means that it's a mammal.
So generalist omnivore mammal. Now,
You want me to flip over all the cards and then we can go through them all and define things? Like, do you want all 3 prompts so that we can start to do things?
I think if we get all 3 prompts, we can kind of bash our brains together.
That was my thinking as well.
Hmm.
8 of hearts. Second creature card is a distinctive feature of the creature. Hearts makes it red suits. 8 makes it leathery wings or hide. And the 3 of diamonds. Environmental behavior. 3 is it is migratory. So it spends time in this region during its cool and wet time, whenever we decide that is. And then moves on, just like the people, I suppose. And it being diamonds means that it lives in small groups, being mated pairs or a family unit. So it migrates in small groups. Okay. Is there anything for you to talk about first card? Or let's just say, with those 3 prompts, Posh, could you give us a creature? We've got a generalist omnivore. It is a mammal with leathery wings or hide, and it migrates in and from this area in small groups.
As
I've got
much as I want to be all like it's like a bat in some way. No, I will go. I think it might do well if it was something that was flighty. So I'm going to go with bat.
Okay.
It is nice.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with something, probably a larger bat as well. So it's one of those things that it doesn't have like large flocks of them. It's something that'll have like its own little family.
Yeah.
Contingency.
Yeah, they travel in like 2s or 3s, not 20s.
Yeah.
And it says, how thick are the wings or hide? Like, it's got leathery skin. How thick is its skin?
I would say it's relatively thin.
Okay.
Like if it wasn't, I think being migratory is probably why it's it's the thinness of the wings is why it stays mobile.
Okay.
Because it might be a very sensitive to its lifestyle type of thing.
Yeah. Well, if we say that it's cool and wet, we said.
Yeah.
So maybe like if the wings dry out too much, they crack.
Yeah.
Which I suppose makes the volcanoes in this area fairly dangerous to it. But the steam vents would be very helpful.
Assuming this area could have some cave systems, maybe for cool and wet, where the steam sort of condenses and creates these murky,
Cool and
muggy
wet
caves for these bats.
That's very cool.
I do like that.
And it being migratory, where does it come from? And where is it going? And what does it do when it gets there?
Cave dwelling migratory flying fox. Needs delicate wings.
Do you have any thoughts, Soha? Where it's going?
Thinking
Yeah.
where it's going.
'Cause I don't think that bats generally are migratory, which isn't a problem.
They are not.
Could it be because we were also talking things that prompt migration are usually food supply, breeding, or child rearing.
I was thinking like maybe they head on to some safer breeding grounds. Maybe the volcanic area is fine for the larger bats, but not for very young bats. Like maybe it's
Okay.
not a good breeding ground for them here. But this is a stopover on the way to their main breeding grounds.
I love it.
Or could this be like a place where they go to find a mate?
Oh,
Ah. Well, with all
that's
of the
nice.
caves that would remain damp for a period of time,
Hmm.
yeah, maybe this is a dangerous place for a youngster, but it's a great place to gather and meet and then move on.
Particularly if we're
also
talking steeds as well, and there's ore
mm,
and rich. With new volcanic, like seismic activity, there could be
mhm.
new openings around the place.
Hmm.
To where if they need materials for making a younger one, there are new openings in the earth to get those things.
It also really ties into this whole area being a meeting place,
Hmm.
not just for people, but for the bats as well.
And it may have been that like the people that came here saw the bats migrating here and thought, look, we've never been in that area because of the volcanoes and the danger. Like maybe there is something there we need to look at.
Hmm. Could it be that it's like that it's people were able to look into the bats enough. That's how they found out that this is an ore rich area.
Hmm.
These bats were reproducing in this area.
Yeah, using the ores they get from the caves.
Yeah. So that's how people coming into this area found out
Found the first
that,
ores.
found the first ores, and these bats in the area are like they're fairly reliant on them, which could even lean into how does the mining of such ores affect local ecosystems,
Really
particularly
good
with these
question.
bats.
Did the lake affect the bat population? Because so much of the ore is now going to be underwater
Hmm.
later on.
Hmm.
That is a fantastic question. I wonder if it would actually be like because as the water would settle, it would lose a lot of its heat, even if it remained a relatively warm lake. But that could be like a safe haven for the bats. That there is an area that has water that is not steam and dangerous temperatures,
Hmm.
and so it could be that there's cave systems like around the edges of the lake that the bats have kind of taken up more permanent residency in over
Hmm.
time.
Hmm, that could work.
Kia goes, what if they could dive?
Hmm.
Bats apparently can dive and can swim. I have just Googled this. They don't make a habit of it, but they're quite good at swimming in stressful situations.
Hmm.
Nice.
And the way pockets of land can work for a strangely formed lake, it could be that there's um, like pockets of air that you can get through underground caves.
Oh, sort of like beavers with their dens.
Hmm.
You have to go underwater to get up into the dry.
Yeah,
Nice.
I love it.
Cool.
Okay, so this stream has been going for
2
long,
hours.
almost 2 hours. Do you want to do another animal? Do you two have time? Because today is the one day that I will be able to go past this point in time.
I'm quite happy to do another animal.
Okay. So the way this game handles multiple animals is we draw another card, goes here, this one gets turned over. That becomes our 3 cards.
Oh.
So this one, the initial prompt being the 8 of hearts, makes it still a heart, so it's a mammal. An 8 makes it a flyer or a glider. So now that we've done the bat, we're doing a mammal that is a flyer that is not a, well, it might be another bat. The 3 of diamonds makes it has beak or bill. And the queen of spades for the 3rd creature card. Queen means that it hibernates, dormant during certain times of the year.
Ooh.
And spades means that there are dozens, hundreds, or thousands of this species that live together. Very interesting.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
My first instinct is, since we have small families of large bats living in the caves, what if we had dozens of tiny birds in the bamboo forest?
Ooh, because we said that it's a mammal, and I was trying to think of a mammal that is a flyer that's not a bat, so that we can have a little bit of biodiversity. And I thought, what if it's like a sugar glider, like a little rodent that has the flaps, the skin flaps, and glides from bamboo tree to bamboo tree.
That's lovely.
That is fabulous.
I like the idea that those are still in the dozens as well.
Well, it said not dozens. Yes, it's dozens, hundreds, or thousands. Yeah, so like these are everywhere.
So it's like you fart in the wrong place, and all of a sudden you've got like hundreds of thousands of sugar gliders running across, gliding across.
And we said that the bamboo has sugar in it, and
Yes.
that whole thing. So they would literally be sugar gliders.
Sorry, I have a question. Was
Yes?
not one of the cards supposed to be a beak or a bill or something?
It is. Yes, that's the second one, and that makes it interesting.
So do we have little platypus-styled sugar gliders?
Absolutely, we do. Well,
could you imagine their beak is like a parrot beak, good for like dehusking stuff, and that's how they can get into the inside of
Oh, breaking into the gourds, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the easiest way for them to get food would be to crack into the gourds and drink the juice.
Oh my goodness, can they make nests out of empty gourds?
Absolutely.
Oh my god!
Tiny
and they
sugar
hibernate in
gliders
the gourds.
And they hibernate in the gourds.
So, well, the hibernation, we've got a rough kind of season outline, and we said that these are cool and wet. Maybe because the bamboo is heat resistant. What if like the bamboo is heat resistant, so it is able to be cracked into and chopped when the weather is cool, and like it has a reaction, and when it gets hot, it gets harder. So in the hotter seasons, which would be like in the time away from New Year, in the time away from the clear skies, when the volcanic activity would, I'm guessing, increase the temperature of the area, that's when they hibernate. They hibernate when it's hot, because they can only get into the bamboo when it's cold, when it is relatively cold.
Oh, right. And then the gourds would keep them safe from the heat while they were hibernating.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's lovely.
And I think
now I'm just just imagining a tiny sugar glider family with moss inside a gourd, all curled up and asleep. It's too adorable.
How good would it be? Is like it's like you just saw a gourd and you're sitting there going, you know what, I could actually go for some gourd water today. You crack one open and there is this little family of like 6 of these little sugar gliders.
Well, I was just thinking they wouldn't necessarily like be able to chop the gourds off, but I think when gourds drop naturally, they would crack open and they would like build nests in the ones on the ground and like pack the outside with something or other to keep it insulated over the season.
Cool. What could be an interesting one is if the gourds grew on the top of the bamboo.
Mm.
That way, it's when they do eventually fall off. That's how they grow new bamboo around
How
the
they
place.
naturally reproduce
Uh,
themselves.
Yeah. So it's but what'd be good for the sugar gliders is that they can pack that up and out of the way of potential floods, anything that happens ground level.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that also keeps them away from natural predators. Because it's not ground level, it'd be up.
Oh, and we originally, Zoha, you said it was a bamboo forest. That was the word that you used. What if
Yes.
like the ones that fall on the outside grow the forest? The ones that fall on the inside get caught in the bamboo.
Oh.
And so they have a point where they broke off from the top of the stalk, which is a hole. But aside from that hole, it is whole. I can use two uses of the word hole. But yeah, so it's a whole circular kind of melon gourd with a hole in one end, complete gourd perhaps. And so yeah, there's just these suspended balls that are used as the nests for these sugar gliders.
Nice.
that's
I like that.
great.
So these sugar gliders have hanging homes.
Yes,
Nice.
Adorable.
I love it. Okay, let's go with a third animal just to round out the trio. So that
And
this one,
again, it makes me so happy that we now again have one species that's migratory, but one species that is local, that has made
yes,
this place their home.
yes, and they found a curious way that the local flora
They have
naturally.
floating homes,
Yes.
just like the people are going to.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And while we can say that when they watched the bats migrate in and assumed there was something of value for them to migrate to, they watched the floating homes on the bamboo stalks, and while they couldn't make that work, well, I mean, maybe some of the early ones were like stilts because they use stilts for a lot of earthquake zones, I believe.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the early stuff was on stilts, and they were the ones that floated when the lake filled up.
There's just some poet far in the future who's going to use bats and sugar gliders as some long metaphor for society.
This is amazing. Okay, so our third creature, the three of diamonds. So as a diamonds, it's now a bird or a fish. As a three, it is a leaf, a shrub, or a fruit eater.
A water or fruit eater?
A leaf, a shrub, or a fruit eater. So it's and because herbivores are split up quite excessively in the ecological niches here. Yeah, specifically leaves and shrubs, not grass or moss. And it's a bird or a fish. And Zohar, this one's up to you, but I love the idea of a fish that was living underground in one of the water reserves, and now somehow came out into the surface.
So
We've got black suit queen, means it has poison or venom sacs.
Yeah.
And the six of diamonds means it has a distinct method of reproducing or child rearing.
A distinct method.
That is somehow noteworthy. And it being a diamond means that it lives in small groups again. So yeah, mated pairs or a family unit.
think I'm disconnected. Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
I
I
can
can
hear
hear you now.
Okay, good. But yes, I love the idea of a fish that was definitely present in the lakes that were in the cave systems.
Mm.
And then when the valley flooded, they came out to be a lot more present and a lot more populous under the floating settlement itself.
Yes.
As for herbivore, yeah, okay, and I was thinking of a pufferfish style as well. Like it has venomous glands and sacs for self-preservation. Because the bats are omnivores, I'm assuming the fish are at
Mm.
risk from bat predation, which is why they are venomous as a way to. Oh, you know what? Instead of them having venomous glands, can we say that the skin of the fish is venomous, like golden poison dart frogs?
Absolutely.
So that way, the skin itself is what's dangerous, and they are herbivores, which means they probably feed off the moss that grows on the edges of the hot spring water.
Yes.
And they reproduce in a unique or noteworthy way.
Well,
Hmm,
if they
this is
eat
interesting.
on the moss that grows on the shore, then that would imply that there's at least semi-amphibious.
Yes. Oh, wait. So then
Hear me,
what if
hear me out.
they.
What? No, go ahead.
Yeah? No, no, sorry. You first?
Well, I went to like the idea of lungfish. Those ones that
Ooh,
put themselves into like their like these like mucousy sacs. But what if they did that with their eggs and stuff?
that's what I
So
was
when
thinking.
things dried up, it's like the eggs were they're gestating to where the water level got back to.
Oh, yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. Do we want to say maybe these semi-aquatic lungfish, they leave the water to lay their eggs and then go back in the water, and then when the eggs hatch, they have to get back in, like sea turtles?
Yeah.
I like that.
Because then you've also got the sea turtle equivalent where the bats will be trying to catch all the baby uh, lungfish that are trying to get back to the lake.
Yeah.
Although I wonder what would this cycle have been before the lake? Because if they require some kind of like air, like if
No,
the
but
eggs have to gestate outside of the water
it
for
would be
whatever
the
reason.
same thing, but they were in the cave systems initially, right?
Hmm.
Because the water was collecting in the cave system, so you would still have pools, and then
Hmm.
dry land would be the cave itself. I'm
Yeah.
going to assume that the sticky mucus around the eggs is adhesive, so that they could stick it to the cave walls
Yes.
if
Ooh,
there
ooh.
was no flat surface.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's like it's I imagine it being like rather than like them crawl. What if they were like an adhesive mud skipper? It's like
Hmm.
if they were to get out of the water for whatever reason, it's like they could climb up a sheer flat surface if they wanted
Oh,
to.
like a salamander.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when they lay their eggs, it's like they can lay it on an absolute sheer surface, upside down anywhere.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then the human settlers later on, when they encounter this, could like you harvest that adhesive, like a natural adhesive that's incredibly strong.
Yes.
That could be what they're after in the lake. Because I'd imagine that could even be a really, really nice building material.
Yes. I was just thinking that because
Because it's a very strong
they had the
adhesive.
poles of the bamboo that they could then glue together with this glue.
But if
That
they're laying their eggs outside, they wouldn't need to look for the adhesive in the lake, no?
yeah, no. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what they're going for, but I think it's something they end up using a lot.
Hmm.
Although it could be that the fish themselves are incredibly valuable somehow, and they've discovered this because of the young that are traveling back to the water.
That can be interesting.
And so yeah, they're
Ooh.
searching out the fish, but the fish are incredibly poisonous to touch. And so initially they're trying to find a way to capture the fish that doesn't kill them.
What if the adhesive isn't good? Once it's set on the eggs and it's drying, it's no longer usable. So you need people have made an effort to try and milk it from these fish.
Oh.
Because once it's out or it's exposed to air or whatever it is, when it's exposed to air is when it starts to set and it's no longer usable.
So they have to, and Kayana said they want to farm the young. I think it's the opposite. Is they see how the eggs work and they try and farm the young, and that kind of thing, and they can't, and so they have to capture the mature ones, or capture them as they're heading back to the water, in order to put them in their own fish tanks, so that they can extract this this glue, which has to be kind of squeezed out and used straight away. Because if once it's extracted and it hits the air, it starts to harden. So it needs to be used straight away. The eggs and the young don't help in any way with this process. And so what they need is the fish themselves. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Nice. Oh, I do like that.
Yeah, I know. I imagine you could extract the adhesive underwater so that it remains in its pliable state.
It's kind of like some elements where it's not allowed to be exposed to, like
Yes.
potassium and stuff like that. Is they've got to be
Exactly.
suspended in oil, otherwise they react to oxygen.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was just thinking that would imply that they build their rafts that the houses are built on. They would like float the bamboo stalks separately and then dive down and assemble them underwater.
Yeah.
Or at the very least,
Maybe.
there'd be like a layer of this glue underwater that they then like flip the whole thing upside down to let it set.
Yeah.
So yeah, over time, extensive diving would become a very helpful skill to have.
I like that. Neat.
Okay, well, we've got 3 creatures. We've got one full round done of the ground itself. Over time, we will either continue the ground itself or switch over to other games to do particular things. Do we want to, like, we're still halfway through the ground itself season 1, cycle 1, like the setting up phase. So we're coming back in a fortnight. Do you want to continue on with that next fortnight?
The idea of continuing in a fortnight, and then we could do like another cycle of the ground itself. Then, in that cycle, we can introduce other things that have evolved in the ecosystem. Yeah.
So you want to cut off this cycle of the ground itself and start a new one next fortnight, or do you want to continue with this one?
I'm happy to continue.
Okay.
Yeah, we continue.
Okay. So we now have our first episode. How wonderful to actually have this going. I think this is, as a time, will work well for me, and I'm glad it's going to work well for you too. I'm super excited. This has been so much fun. I love the region that we're starting to create. Before we move on, I would like to ask one far too important question that may not get answered, but I want to ask it anyway. What are we going to call this region?
Ooh.
Like the first name that it gets from the people who first either discover it or settle. This can change over time, but I want to give it a name now.
You know what I do with names. I'm going straight to Google Translate.
That's what I was afraid of. We'll need to pick a language that's from a tropical region.
I was thinking maybe something Malaysian or something Caribbean, something very. Because I know that Malaysia and Singapore are where I've heard of the floating villages the most.
It being like it feels to me very not coastal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want it to be too islanderish as being Malaysian or Caribbean, but I love the feeling that you're getting of that volcanic. Yeah, a lot of volcanic islands where that goes.
Hawaiian, maybe?
All right. I've just looked up Swahili.
Swahili.
Yeah, and I just typed in lake, and it comes up with Ziwa.
Ziwa?
Is the Swahili word for lake.
And that's gonna do. So yeah, whatever they called this place before they found it, whatever they called it while they were using it but not planning on staying, once they hit that seam and opened up the floodwaters and the lake formed, this place was known as Ziwa.
And that's a bit of foreshadowing, as it was not a lake at that stage.
Yeah. No, but I love it. I love it all. We've got a bat, we've got a food glider, and a fish, and this is going to be incredibly interesting to see this really get built out. Okay, so thank you so much, Posh and Zoha, for joining me, and I'm going to end the stream.
And thank you, Kayana.
Yes, thank you, Kayana, for showing up and helping us getting everything up.
Awesome. Thank you, Kia. We'll catch you next time. Bye, guys.